So if you guys have been following the channel, I have been quite interested in the idea of like the societal implications, as weird as that sounds, for the drama over hot women in video games. We've been following Stellar Blade, and this video has been absolutely popping off. So today I wanted to check it out. I wanted to react to it. It's by Sasu JPG. I've never heard of her personally, but obviously I don't mean to be disrespectful. She has a huge channel, but apparently this video is popping off, has a ton of comments. It's doing very, very well. So I wanted to hear what she says, and I wanted to react to it for a video today. We're going to get into it in just a second. Before we do that, I do want to say hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Let's watch this video together. Let's get to it, guys. Huge drama over hot women in video games.
Female video game characters' designs have been a tense topic for ages, and today is no different. It all started over an IGN France article that made a series of inflammatory claims about the CEO of ShiftUp, the game devs behind Stellar Blade. IGN France
And yeah, I don't think that there's ever been controversy this bad over something like this than there was with Stellar Blade.
Trashed CEO Kim Hyung-tae by claiming Eve was made by someone who has never seen a woman. So obviously these kinds of statements are clearly meant to rage bait gamers for clicks, and
yeah, that, and it's a bunch of ugly people just being upset that a video game character is more beautiful than they are.
Engagement. But it stands out to me as particularly corny because the CEO is married to a very successful and talented concept artist, Ji-yoon Chae, who signs her art as Kyung.
That's not the Stellar Blade model, is it? I don't know. I know the Stellar Blade character Eve is based off of a real person, or like the model's actually off a real person. I just don't know if that's this girl.
He's worked for huge companies like Blizzard, Square Enix, as well as other shift-up games like Nikke and Destiny Child. IGN not doing their research here really gargles gorilla gonads, in my opinion, because they missed an awesome opportunity to highlight a woman in gaming. They try to show how they care about female representation in games while simultaneously acting like women couldn't possibly have any involvement in creating sexy characters like Eve.
I don't know, like obviously women are involved in creating games, but like I don't know. I would love to know if like any woman watching this down below could comment, like, is this something that they would necessarily come up with for an idea? Do women want to make hot female gamers or female characters? I don't really know.
This is erasure, and it's really gross. I've also been a big fan of Kim Hyung-tae's art ever since I saw his art on the cover of the Magna Carta games, as well as his work for Queen's Blade. So, you know, as a fan, it sucks seeing him slandered like that. The article also makes comparisons between two other famous female characters. Talk about sexism. Not even fictional women are safe from being pit against one another. They mentioned Bayonetta, saying she is an iconic.
Yeah, and you know what's funny, isn't it? Like, you remember the drama about Bayonetta dropping, right? I don't think anything has like that Stellar Blade has done, because Bayonetta, oh boy, especially when, like, I remember even when Bayonetta was added to Smash Bros, like, oh my god, Bayonetta's a little too sexy for this game.
Character design, and therefore not sexist like Eve. Bayonetta slander is particularly offensive to me because back in the day, the sentiment of women can be sexy and strong wasn't common. It's like basically beating a dead horse today. Everybody knows that. But believe me when I tell you, times were more sexist just like 10 years ago, which isn't that long.
I think it was more publicly sexist. I think that people still feel the same way today, and they just vocalize it either to their friends. They're not allowed to vocalize it online. I believe that people haven't necessarily changed that much. You would have to look in toward like the new generation actually growing up, but not yet.
But I'm telling you, we've come a long way in gaming. Now we have more female gamers openly expressing that they like these characters because they're not getting shamed for it like they used to. To some of you guys, this may sound like totally crazy, and maybe it's because you're under 20 years old or something, but us old heads, we remember a time where women were shamed for liking sexy female characters, usually by like other women or something.
That actually I don't know. I don't know about. I don't remember that at all. I'm not denying it, but it's interesting.
Sometimes guys would be really weird about it. Like, I used to like playing as Ivy in Soul Calibur because she was cool, and
sorry. If she's talking about this, I understand.
I thought she was hot, and I liked the challenge that her cool throws would do. Like, pulling off Summon Suffering was the biggest, dickest move ever, okay? It made me feel really cool, and I liked to show off that I could do it, so I would play Ivy. And then sometimes guys would be like, oh, you play Ivy, you must be a slut, blah, blah. And I'm like...
You must be wild like Ivy in the bed. Like, dude, these people just, it's crazy to me. It'll be the most violent, disgusting man you'll ever look at that'll say this type of thing to a girl, and like they think it's okay because she's a gamer.
I'm like 14, what the fuck? It was a weird time. I also like playing Valdo because he's also fun in a challenge. And he's pretty slutty too, but no one ever shamed me for that. It's always been kind of people being a lot more hateful towards the sexy female characters.
Okay, the problem is I don't see any really hate towards these sexy female characters, just about like the ugly people online. I'm talking about gamers. Do gamers really hate this? Not usually.
And another thing, that's what makes Voldo special, because he was a sexy man. And for whatever reason, people act like he wasn't sexy. Okay, maybe he was like a little weird and corpse-like or whatever, but that just makes him hotter to me. So take that, sexists. They do the same with 2B, praising her for inspiring an entire generation of cosplayers, then go on to call Eve a bland, sexualized doll. This was upsetting to read because Bayonetta and 2B had to overcome an onslaught of negativity and sexism claims to be seen as the icons they are today. I was there, I remember. You can't fool me. Also, speaking of 2B, Keiichi Okabe, who worked on the soundtrack for Nier Automata, also worked on some of Stellar Blade's music. Worlds are colliding.
It's interesting the difference between the characters, because Stellar Blade, again, like I mentioned, Eve is getting it way more than pretty much any other character in the history of gaming.
I don't know why I did that. Anyway, in Stellar Blade, Eve is a battle android whose purpose is eradicating an evil alien life form. So
is that her purpose, or is her purpose what I just watched?
So the aesthetics and themes throughout the game have a lot of biblical symbolism and parallels, which made me think a lot about Bayonetta, and made me wish the game leaned more heavily into that aesthetic, because it's never not cool, no matter how many times it's reimagined.
Yeah, the important thing to know with these is both Stellar Blade and Bayonetta, I haven't played them personally, but all you hear about is what great games they are, what great stories have been told through this. So I think that it'd be a lot different if Bayonetta and Eve were made to basically just have somebody like wanking it in the middle of just playing a screen. It's just like another version of Korn. But I don't see an issue with it because it's actually part of a video game, if that makes sense.
I also wish the game took a page out of Nier Automata's book by making the android characters a bit more fleshed out and interesting in the game. Stellar does have a comic that shows Eve and Tachi on their home planet, but if people have to look outside of the game for more context about the characters, they most likely won't do that and they're gonna miss out. So just put it in the game. Eve also has like a British accent. Like that wasn't even British, whatever. She has a British accent like Bayonetta. She's an android like 2B, and they all have fantastic bodies and great outfits, so I would love to see artists get together and make them all like interacting. And
I don't know if she's gonna mention it though, because it's important to know while these characters look good and their bodies are absolutely fantastic, I know Eve for sure. I don't know about Bayonetta actually, but I know Eve is based off of a real woman. We took a look at that a long time ago in a video on this channel.
Being friends. None of this competitiveness, just good old-fashioned friendliness and, you know, maybe more than friends. So back to the IGN article comparing the three. Bayonetta was frequently painted to be a sexist design by game journos back in 2012, who, like the people writing for IGN today, didn't do any research. And
what I don't get about that is, hey, why don't you make someone ugly? Why do you have to make someone attractive?
Once again, disregarded the women behind the designs. Just look at this video of Feminist Frequency's Anita Sarkeesian commenting on Bayonetta.
The game stars a character named Bayonetta. It's your basic story of a shape-shifting witch.
Am I crazy, or does she look a little like Bayonetta?
Dressed in skin-tight leather, who can turn into giant cats, and has a small arsenal of weapons, including whips. And of course she's lost her memories, and there's some evil demon horde, and there's a magical gem of the world, something, and so forth, but all of that is besides the point when it comes to this game. First, the positive things about the game. She's a single mother, and that's kind of it.
Someone clearly didn't play the game, didn't listen to the story.
So on to the negatives. She carries with her 4 pistols, 2 of which are strapped to her high-heeled boots, which provide the perfect opportunity for her to contort her body into pornographic poses, including spreading her legs and doing a little flip in the air to kill the bad guys. When she lands, she does a little sexy pose for the player, complete with the sound of a camera shutter snapping.
What's she so pissed about? Like, again, I'd take great issue with this if that was just like the sole purpose of it, but you gotta sell your game, man.
But it gets even better, because one of her most powerful weapons involves her stripping all her clothes off and turning her hair into an evil demon weapon fighting machine. Did you get that? The whole taking all her clothes off in order to use her hair as a weapon? Because clearly you can't use your hair to drag demons down to hell if you're fully clothed.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
Predictably, the internet is now infested with gamers' screen captures of the various ways that they got Bayonetta naked. As if this pornographic, overly sexualized, animated representation isn't bad enough.
Okay, think about it though. No matter what Bayonetta looked like, people would do this. People would do this in any video game. I'm sure you can find someone doing it for Tails the Fox, for Sonic.
The way that Bayonetta restores her power is by sucking on a lollipop. But I'm not really here to discuss the overly sexualized adolescent male fantasy that Bayonetta is, but rather talk about part of the game's marketing strategy.
Attitudes like that weren't uncommon when it came to Bayonetta, which sucks because Bayonetta's designer, Mari Shimikasi, who also goes by the alias Shimako, was female. Is female, she's not dead.
Really? I didn't know that. The designer was female. Interesting.
On Platinum Games' official blog, Shimako made a post in 2009 that stated that she enjoyed how when Bayonetta uses more of her power, she reveals more of her skin. Her power comes from her hair, which is wrapped around her body to make her outfit. So she's not actually wearing clothes, she's wearing her hair.
Hey, you learn something new every day.
And nudity is often seen as vulnerability, but Bayonetta makes it her strength, which a lot of...
Sorry, I haven't played Stellar Blade. I haven't seen
women felt was cool and sexy and empowering. Me, I'm those women. Bayonetta not only got slandered for being like hypersexual with her personality and all that, she got slandered for the way that she was like drawn. People would say, oh, there's no way, this body's impossible. She's like 8 heads tall.
That's the problem, man. That's the problem. It's an unrealistic expectation for women. Like, I am so pro if everybody wanted to get together and be like, all right, we need to get men back in shape. We need to get everybody to stop touching themselves, and we need to put a stop on everything that is even remotely sexy for a little while until men can finally get control of themselves. But the way I'm looking at this is you need to sell your game. It's a superpower type thing. If you're going to look at like a hyper realistic version of a superhero, or like you kind of get what I'm saying. You don't go to see regular people. You don't play games to see regular people. You see like these awesome people. You see for the men, they're muscular, tall, huge, ready to go. And for the women, they are absolutely stunning. You know, it's just extra for people, you know, and that's what the whole superhero kind of genre is. And ultimately, I'm okay with that. But it really bothers me, the whole, oh, this is an unrealistic expectation for women. No women can look like that. Like, yes, you absolutely can look like that. You can look better than Bayonetta.
She's like 8 feet tall. That's not real. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's not real. She's a super powerful, sexy witch who uses her hair to kill.
There you go. See, like, why does it have to be so realistic? Even if you couldn't look like that, even if you couldn't, which you can, by the way.
Little giant Lovecraftian angel creatures. You know, maybe that extra arm length helps her fight better. But
hang on, what about everybody ever that cosplays? I mean, like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of like there's there's a lot of Bayonettas that shouldn't be Bayonettas, but like there's people that look like Bayonetta. I'm sure, like, I could guarantee you I could Google search it right now and we could find people. I'll do it. You know what? I'll do it right now. We're gonna go Google search, and sorry, I was looking up Jubilee earlier, and ignore my other tabs. I'm preparing for another video over here. Bayonetta cosplay. Let's see. And there we go. Let's see what we come up over here. Oh, would you look at that? Oh, would you look at that? That looks like Bayonetta. I didn't even think that. I thought that was from the game, to be honest with you. Oh, would you look at that? Another Bayonetta cosplay. Oh, would you look at that? Another Bayonetta cosplay. Oh, this is so difficult to maintain. Of course, like, the bodies are a little bit more difficult. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to match, but like that one, you're getting there. You're getting there. The point being, this is absolutely 110% obtainable for women and everybody, and I will say the same thing about men, like towards any male character that people look up to.
Stylistic choice, because the longer limbs made the action sequences more aesthetically pleasing because it was easier to follow her movements. Bayonetta was able to transcend hateful labels because the gameplay was great and people highlighted the fact that the designer was a woman. And Shimako's ideas were also utilized in shaping Bayonetta's super sexy and super dommy personality. Women who loved Bayonetta spoke up, and now she's adored by like everybody.
That's the thing, I'm not too familiar with like what women actually like Bayonetta because I'm used to hearing about all the women who hate her.
Time, however, is a flat circle, and we're seeing all the trash that was said about Bayonetta and to be said about Eve. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it, so here we go again. And I bet anything, journos who insulted Stellar Blade will later release articles about how Eve is an icon and an inspiration, but I'll remember what they said at the beginning. I was here.
You know what? I'm with her. That's probably on its way.
I was here when it was written. So with the biggest criticism against Stellar Blade being the fact that Eve was an unrealistic depiction of a woman and a sexualized doll and all that, it must have been a really big plot twist for the detractors to discover that Eve was based on a real woman, South Korean model Shin Jae-eun, who shift up 3D scan to create Eve. So
that's what I was talking about earlier. I didn't know if we were actually going to get into looking at that. We took a look at it in another video. Tell me what about that is unobtainable. You tell me right now. What about that is unobtainable? Is it difficult? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely it's difficult. But with hard work, you can get that done.
So this whole IGN debacle created a massive shitstorm on Twitter, aka X.com, Elon's sex bot haven, because if you post anything there, you'll be swarmed by porn spam bots. Wow, your dog just died. Well, come on down to Ram Ranch and check out the 18 naked cowboys.
Dead dogs in my DMs. Come see.
In the showers at Ram Ranch. Okay, sorry about that. I'm personally just really annoyed at how often I get porn spammed on Twitter. And
I actually don't. I'm outing you. That's your algorithm. But I see it a little bit. Like I'm talking about the bots, not necessarily actually seeing the clips that so many people see. But unfortunately for X-Band, they just said that they were going to allow it, which sucks.
And I'm kind of letting it affect me today. So again, sorry. I think Twitter has honestly been one of the worst things to happen to games, because you get like these mobs of people complaining and harassing game developers, but they don't buy the games even if the developers apologize and make the changes that
you have people complaining about the games who don't even own the games and have no intention on ever playing the game ever. They could care less. They just love the outrage. They love to complain about something. Hey, what's my favorite creator saying about the game today? Hey, that's what I think too, because I can't think for myself and I'm an absolute bot.
That they claim to want. There's a difference between customers and complainers, and a lot of the complainers aren't customers and won't become customers even if something is changed, because the way Twitter is structured is that the more outrage people generate, the more clicks and the more income that they can get, because, you know, once you get that Twitter blue, impressions equal dollars.
It's not even just that, like that exists, but it's just the regular person who's so unhappy with themselves, they need to look for something negative to complain about for the day.
And what's the best way to get impressions? Piss everyone off. So hopefully game developers will stop listening so much to hate mobs on Twitter and continue to make games that gamers like. I like seeing attractive characters in my game. I also like seeing horrendously grotesque characters in my game. I would love a game where I can play as either a very beautiful character or a really gross character.
I actually agree with that. I like the diversity between everything.
I don't like bland, boring designs. I don't want designs that look like reality. I don't want games that look like going to Target or going to the grocery store. I don't want to see normal looking people. I see them every fucking day. I play games to see something better than I can see in reality. And I feel
that's entirely true. That's the point that I was trying to get at earlier.
I feel like a lot of gamers feel that way too. So as I mentioned before, beloved icons of gaming like Bayonetta and 2B suffered similar criticisms, which triggered some PTSD of the feminist frequency versus Gamergate days, thus causing a lot of gamers to go nuclear on Twitter defending Eve. So we end up with thousands of different variant tweets basically saying stuff like, those wokies are trying to take our sexy game women. They've been saying this for decades. So I won't really get into that, but after braving the smegma storm, I discovered a valid point that got brought up thanks to another game receiving some attention. Supergiant Games revealed character designs for their new roguelike, Hades 2, and Aphrodite got a lot of positive attention for her sexy design by game journalists.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Like, let me rewind that a little bit. Make it make sense. Yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah, I'm with that.
Reeti got a lot of positive attention for her sexy design by game journalists. Interesting, considering some of these same journalists had bashed similar sexy designs like Eve from Stellar Blade and even Quiet from Metal Gear Solid. This hypocrisy was quickly pointed out and led to gamers discussing how these biased critiques stem from racism towards Asian game developers by Western journalists.
All right, well, that's one that we're definitely not going to touch today, so hopefully she doesn't spend too much time on that.
Could racism be at play here? Probably. Humanity is shit. We all hate each other for arbitrary reasons. We're killing the planet, and we're pretending like climate change isn't real. Did you guys know a tornado that was like 2.6 miles wide hit Oklahoma in 2013? That's the largest tornado in recorded history. It's the end times. So with the character Aphrodite from Hades 2 getting a lot of praise, I feel like this taps into an interesting Twitter topic that I saw not too long ago called Safe horny.
Nah, I think it's just selective outrage. As soon as all it needs is for somebody with a little tiny bit of following to get upset about something, and all the bots will follow along. I think that's what it is. It's absolutely selective outrage, and people don't know what they want to be upset about. But hey, I want to be upset about something today, so this is what we're gonna choose.
I know that sounds really weird, but it's basically the theory that men have been so shamed for expressing their interest in sexy women that they try to express their interest in a way that's like more palatable to others. So
Interesting.
you see it all the time. Men like a hot girl's picture, and other people will call him a simp. Usually other guys. Guys, you need to stop bashing each other for enjoying a nice pair of titties.
No, that's true. That's not true. We need to shame the simps. Wait, what did she say?
Call him a simp. Usually other guys. Guys, you need to stop bashing each other for enjoying a nice pair of titties.
Yeah, but what the problem is the people who are just sitting around doing nothing. I'm not gonna get into. I'm not gonna get into it. No, you can admire, but you need to be a little bit of a somebody, you know?
Enjoy them together. What happened to the good old days of enjoying a nice glass of scotch over a pair of boobs or whatever it was?
I mean, I don't think that went anywhere, really.
Was that old guys used to do? I don't know. In order to get less made fun of and still be able to express themselves, guys will say stuff like, oh, step on me, mommy, I love muscle mommies. They'll say things that put the woman in power, and maybe they do like that, but
Interesting if you think they're going about it by that dynamic, and I wonder if that's kind of helped the transition, because I never actually thought about it that way. That's a very, very interesting point. I personally think it's just corn getting weirder and weirder and people needing to find more shocking and more degrading things to get attracted to, and then it just kind of shifts into the dommy mommy thing. But I wonder if that actually has an effect on it. Could be both. I definitely think that I'm correct, but interesting. I would love to know what you guys think about that down below.
you know what? A lot of these guys that have told me, oh yeah, I love a woman that takes charge, and then I try to take charge and they're like, oh, why are you bossing me around? And I'm like, bitch, what did you just fucking say to me?
Some people are actually starting to like it more and more, but yeah, no, that's absolutely unnatural. It's unattractive. It doesn't make any sense for a guy to end up liking that.
They're just saying shit. That's what these safe horny guys are doing. They're just saying this because they feel like, oh, nobody's gonna get offended if I say I want her to step on me.
Yeah, that's kind of true, because you could say something and honestly, you'll have to excuse my language over here. It's better than saying like, oh my god, Eve, I would love to fuck the shit out of her, right? That's a lot less offensive compared to, oh my god, Eve is mommy. Oh my god, I want to be a good boy for mommy, you know? Oh, I feel so uncomfortable even saying that, dude.
Because that's not degrading her, that's making her look cool. And you know, it does make me feel cool when people ask me to step on them. So keep doing that. But it's also unfortunate that some of it is not genuine. It's just coming from a place of guys being afraid to express themselves how they normally would. By
And the problem is girls don't even know how guys actually would express themselves. What I just said is nothing.
saying, wow, great boobs. Sometimes they are great boobs. Sometimes it's an appropriate time to say that.
There's no appropriate time to say that to any woman's face, unless it's like your actual long-term girlfriend, you're comfortable with each other in that sense.
Sometimes it's not. Most of the time it's not. Like if you're at a grocery store and the lady's shopping and you're like, oh man, look at them titties. You know, stop that. But you know, if it's your favorite OnlyFans girl and she just posted a great boob pic, she'll probably like that as a compliment. There's a time and a
No, she won't. She hates if you're on OnlyFans and she hates every single little bit of your existence, dude. If you are OnlyFans, get a hold of yourself. Do better.
place for everything. A great example of safe horny is that Joe Cat video. You know, the one that's like, I like big girls, itty bitty girls, super kitty girls, pants shitty girls, whatever it was that he said. That video.
I have no idea what that was.
That's what people usually use as an example of safe horny. I just think he was expressing that he likes lots of different types of girls, and he's kind of been run off the internet because people made fun of him so badly, which again ties into people need to stop making fun of guys for just expressing themselves.
If guys were to express themselves, it'd be way too rude. I'm with that. Guys should keep that to themselves for the most part. There's nice ways you can say there's a whole reason why throughout the entirety of history you guys needed to be romantic and kind of like guide women into, not necessarily guide wasn't the right word, but you need to like put on a little bit of a respectful front, because if guys were up front, that just wouldn't be okay, even in the slightest.
Especially if they're not being horrible. I think all horrible people, regardless of gender, should be shamed. This safe horny topic, there's so much that goes into it. Maybe if people express interest, I could make a video about that. You know, I could probably also make a video going more in depth about how important Bayonetta is to me. But that video is probably going to be an hour long and like 2 people are going to watch it. It's a very specific niche of special interests, and I don't know if people are about that life. This Western media debacle over Eve's design made news overseas and became the subject of many East Asian memes.
I'm a little shocked that if there was controversy overseas.
There's nothing like a good controversy to get the memes flowing.
What even were those memes?
Memes?
Hang on.
There's
Oh, I guess that we would need the caption for that, right?
nothing like a good controversy to get the memes flowing. I mentioned before how women involved in character design get totally ignored by journalists looking to push the sexism narrative. Well, they also love to ignore actual female gamers who consume the very games these journos claim to be an affront to women everywhere. Like, how else do we end up with an entire generation of cosplayers dressing up like 2B if the media doesn't also appeal to women?
I don't know how true that is, though. Girls, most of the girls don't even like video games that are dressing up in cosplay. I guarantee it. They're just looking for a bunch of simps, dude. They're looking for attention. They're looking for their Instagram. They're looking for themselves, and they know that dressing up like a video game character will attract the step on me mommy people.
95% of 2B cosplayers are women. Women like beautiful characters. Anyway.
Yeah, like I'm sure that does happen. I'm sure there are big fans of it, but I would say the vast majority of them just do not care one little bit.
Here's some really cute reactions from women seeing Eve for the first time.
I believe this is only on PlayStation.
Is that an accent that I hear?
Come on, come on,
It's
come
not
on.
working! Did I fail?
I'm stuck. Am I gonna die? Oops.
Oh, okay, we're fine. We're fine.
Oh, snap.
That's funny.
The music is really good. Oh, oops.
Music, guys.
I almost missed that.
Oh, shit.
Wait, so
You're
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with talking about that, right?
just showing
this is
all
very
of it.
shiny.
Right away. Okay. Wow. I wasn't expecting that.
Goddamn, mummy.
Excuse me.
Okay, girl.
She's stunning. They're all stunning.
To be who?
Yeah, but do they really feel that way? I don't know. I'm not sensing too much of a genuine commentary over there. They could. Don't get me wrong. I'm just like, I'm not taking this as necessarily any proof, in my opinion.
What's for the others?
Remember how I mentioned the smegma storm? Well, it came back with a vengeance in the wake of censorship surrounding the game's release. Apparently, Sony was alerted to the Boner Brigade battening down the hatches of their goon caves and prepping for the collective FAP of the century, so they decided something needed to be done before Eve got the Overwatch treatment. The joke there is that more people watch Overwatch porn than play the games. So changes were allegedly made to some
You know, that's probably true, too. Ugh.
Eve's outfits to eliminate like 20% of visible titty flesh, which was weird given it was already a rated M game. Another censorship was the removal of the hard R graffiti on one of the walls. It didn't actually say the hard R word, it just said literally hard R.
Why? Why is that a thing?
But the word hard was replaced with crime. This greatly upset the Coomer Coalition, which sparked the Free Stellar Blade hashtag on Twitter and even a petition to remove the censorship. Here's an example of one of their representatives.
I stand with the gamers of the PlayStation Republic, but I do not stand with the developers of Stellar Blade.
See, this is the type of people that I'm kind of like, okay, why do these people have a voice?
I want to see her feet more than anything, but people are talking about how her cleavage is hidden. Look, let me see everything. Her butt, her nice personality. I will play the game when it's cheaper than $40, but until then I will not buy it unless you drop the developers. And you
If this isn't satire, I always sit back and I'm like, wow, you actually posted this. Holy.
can't let Sony drop your freedom. You have to defend it. And also, please bring back Dilbert. It was my favorite comic strip.
People said the clothing changes aren't in the physical copy, some people said it doesn't exist at all, but it ignited another interesting conversation in regards to selective censorship. If Baldur's Gate 3 can have full frontal nudity with peen physics, as well as actual sex scenes, then why can't Eve show some cleave? Also, did anyone whip around their character in the creation screen in Baldur's Gate so they could look at the dingling swing, or am I just really immature?
I'm sure most people do that.
I feel like the argument between gamers who want to enjoy the sexy aspects of the game and the people who are hating on it are potentially filtering normal gamers. I hope that the Twitter intensity doesn't stop people from looking at the actual gameplay of Stellar Blade and then playing it themselves, because this is exactly what we had happen with Bayonetta, which helped to get rid of the sexism claims that were just not true. It helped bring attention to a female designer who
But the important thing is with all of this is you can't forget that the focus really is on the game. The game is fantastic. A lot of people are really, really happy with the game. The character is just a little bit of a bonus with it.
worked on Bayonetta, and it helped change attitudes towards female video game characters. Unfortunately, we're kind of regressing, I feel like, in terms of character design, where all of the women need to be made less sexy in order to not be sexist. I think the real solution would just be to make the men more sexy, because then we have actual equality.
I agree with that, actually. I agree with that. But I feel like, this is just off the top of my head, I feel like there's a lot of male characters that already are really, really good looking. But maybe I just don't play enough games, so I don't know if I should necessarily have a good opinion on that.
I don't think censorship and toning down bodies and reducing femininity is the way to go.
Again, it's about these games. You're playing as a super character. You're not playing, to use this girl's words, it's not like going to Target. You're going on a space mission. You're fighting aliens. You want to see something that is a hyper-realistic version of what already exists, and that's what makes it attractive to play. You don't want to play as, like, some fat guy from Walmart, you know?
Just make the men sluttier. Ball physics. Baldur's Gate did it. More games should do this. Final Fantasy XIV had some sexy outfits for the guys. There was actually this one Final Fantasy mobile game that I don't remember, but it had a sexy costume for the man, and people complained about it so much that they just made it like a DLC for the guy instead. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong. I need to deep dive onto the internet here. Does anybody remember what I'm talking about? It was not a famous popular Final Fantasy game by any means.
I have no clue. I'm so bad at telling what guys are attractive. Like, I don't even know if Cloud's good looking.
Anyway, Stellar Blade has already sold over 1 million copies, and people are raving about the gameplay and character designs. Currently, the game has the 3rd highest rated user score in PS5 history, only surpassed by Resident Evil 4 and Cyberpunk 2077. Does this mean Eve will end up joining the iconic ranks of Bayonetta and 2B? I hope so, because
she probably will pass it, to be honest.
those SFM video creators create art. Like, yeah, it's hentai, but it's art. Thanks for watching, and stay stellar.
That was an interesting topic on the drama. Again, as the video's titled, Huge Drama Over Hot Women in Games. It's an interesting idea to take a look at it. It's kind of just recapping everything, but my opinion hasn't changed about it, guys. You need to... the games need to sell their games. It's really that simple. What are you going to do? Make an ugly girl? That's a stupid thing to do if you're trying to sell your game. Plus, it's fact that this isn't just some pornographic thing. It's a very, very well thought out and well told story of a video game. The graphics are great, the gameplay is great, and you just have a really good character on top of it. And that's how I feel about it. I don't think there's too much to take a look at. I don't mind, and I know you're pushing it a little bit with making the characters bend over the way that they do, but I don't think it pushes it enough where it's an issue. Because if you, in reality, man, if you're sitting here and you have a problem touching yourself over Stellar Blade, then that's not on the developers, man. That's on you, and you're probably beyond help. So let me know what you think about this entire situation down below. I would imagine that this is the end of the Stellar Blade drama on the channel, but of course, we take a look at all things trending on this channel. Thank you very, very much for watching. Check out this video right now with an e-girl ruining the New York City portal. Check it out, guys. I will see you over there. Take care.